Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Howie Dewey here from the Degenerate Gamblers. We're talking college football. We're going into week 14. Week 14, can you believe it? Uh, just started yesterday. Hey, if you like what you hear, hit the like button below. Follow Howie Dewey on YouTube. Look, all I can do is just tell you what I see, what I'm doing, and where we're going from here. Let's talk about week 13 quickly. Let's start right off with the bad. One of my favorite bets of the week. I'd been waiting all year for this game. I went to the game. Uh, Notre Dame Army. Let's get right into it. I loved Army. I thought they'd give him a game. Thought it'd be close. It was brutal. It was a brutal night sitting there at Yankee Stadium in that booth watching that block punt when I thought, we're coming back, we're keeping it close. It's 14-7 and let me tell you, it was just an avalanche. And I will say this. Notre Dame is playing better than anyone in the country. I'll talk about them later when we go into futures bets as far as this playoff situation is going. If Notre Dame takes care of business this Saturday in LA, actually, is that game at USC? Might be home. I haven't looked, but if they take care of business in this final game, they're in this playoff, and Notre Dame can make some noise. They're well balanced defense, offense. When they beat a very good Army team, they didn't just beat them, they shellacked them. And I couldn't have been more wrong about a game. I really did think Army could hang in there, and they didn't. Notre Dame proved me wrong. And I'll tell you, I'm on board with them as far as having a chance to move deep into this playoffs. I would want to play Notre Dame if I was anybody. And if you look at the overall top to bottom this year, the SEC doesn't have anyone dominant. You could say Texas, but sure as hell isn't Georgia. Georgia, what were they up? Was it 28-14 at the half against Massachusetts? Yeah, it didn't come close to covering that 42 and a half. Texas, probably the best team in the SEC. Alabama, which the committee will still have them in this playoff situation with 3 losses. They go to Oklahoma and get shellacked by a below average Oklahoma team. Mississippi, forget it. You got hammered in the swamp this weekend. The SEC doesn't have a dominant team. The ACC, doesn't have a dominant team. Uh, so, Notre Dame has a shot, man. I didn't love them because we did have Northern Illinois beating them this year, and they did. But since that game, every team has a bad weekend. They've got on a roll, and they're just spanking teams right now, and they're playing well. Good defense, good offense, big offensive line. They got athletes, the skill positions, running backs, they got everything. So it was a rough night, man. It was a rough night for me in Yankee Stadium. Plus, I swear it was probably 75% Notre Dame fans there. Ah, yeah. I think I did get in trouble. Almost got thrown out of the suite. I said something about priests. I don't know. But it got ugly. Anyways, let's get into this past week. So I got that Notre Dame Army game out of the way. I was wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. You know, I mean, I've been doing this for years and years, have the same guys that have been on the site paying for college football, college basketball, other picks, and we've done very well for years. I was wrong about this game. I was wrong. I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. You have bad games, you have bad weeks. Last week wasn't the best week for me. Let's get into the other big game. Indiana, Ohio State. Uh, I'll tell you what, man. If you watch this game, the punter made a few mistakes on Indiana. If he doesn't, this game could have been closer. Here's what I don't like about this game. Not that I had Indiana in a parlay at plus 17 and a half. And with 30 seconds to go, Ohio State's on what, the 2-yard line? They kneel the ball. The game's over. They win 31-15. 2 touchdowns. It's over. They just kneel it. What does this dickhead do from Ohio State? He feels the need to run in and let's score another touchdown. Really run it up on him. I'm sorry, man. I understand. Ohio State doesn't have to worry about that shit. They're going to be in the playoffs. I don't get why that's no class. I'm sorry. It's no class. I'm not just pissed because I didn't cover that parlay. But it was just in my opinion, unclassy thing to do. Just kneel the ball, dude. Go to your locker room, move on. I thought it was a shitty thing to do against Indiana. I think most coaches would agree. That coach from Ohio State's not right. I don't know. He's good players. Seems a little slow in the head. It pissed me off. Indiana still has a good team. They should be in. I mean, I think it could have been worse if a few things didn't happen that I think are in Indiana's favor. Number one, Mississippi. And I did say that on here. I thought Mississippi had a chance to lose in the swamp, and they did. DJ Lagley just ran and passed all over Mississippi. Lane Kiffin, once again, you proved that you're not going to win big games. I don't see how Mississippi gets in with 3 losses. I think Florida set them on their way. That's a game I really liked. I like Florida. Florida ended up winning. Um, the other game, of course, Alabama, 3 losses now. Go to Oklahoma and get spanked. What happens there? I'm going to tell you something weird when we talk about futures and how the committee is still looking at them with 3 losses. I think they should be out. You just didn't do enough. You got 3 losses, man. You should definitely be out. So those are 2 teams that lost, should be out. That should help Indiana's case. Let's look at Miami. Miami, they scored 22 points in the fourth quarter to just lock it up, send Wake Forest on their way. Miami, that's a team, if you watch this year and look at them the rest, if you bet against Miami or you just take the other team with the points in the first half, you usually win. Miami does not play well in the first half. Miami's defense is suspect. They give up points, but they can light it up. This quarterback, Ham Ward, he's a mutant. This guy runs, passes, he break dances, does flips before he throws touchdown. But this guy's amazing. They can score on anyone. They can score on anybody. So they took care of business, won 42-14. As far as the ACC goes, it looks like Miami's the team that comes out of it. Clemson's still holding on by a thread. The team that's just rocking lately, and they look extremely solid, is SMU. SMU hammered Virginia 33-7. They look very good. Let's talk about another team. Not in going to the playoffs, not going anywhere, but they've covered their last 4 games. You got to look at them as Boston College. Spank UNC. Boston College is playing great. I said Boston College. Boston College is playing great football right now. They cover. We talked about Georgia. They won 59-21. They didn't cover. They didn't cover against Massachusetts. Gave up 21 points, gave it up early. This defense is not a normal Georgia defense. It isn't. There's holes in this defense. The offense isn't that great either. You've seen this quarterback. Throws a lot of interceptions. I just don't see them moving on in the playoffs. They'll get in. Look, you look at the SEC championship game, and you're going to have Georgia playing whoever wins the Texas A&M game. Texas A&M had a great chance of moving on and staying alive in the playoffs. They had a great chance until they lost this weekend. You can't make this shit up. Texas A&M, all they had to do was win. But they play Texas this weekend. That's a rivalry game. It could be close. We'll have to look at that game. Texas ran all over. Won pretty big this weekend. Anyways, let's talk about this game. It's another game that I had. I had James Madison beating Appalachian State. Appalachian State comes out of the tunnel. The fans are throwing snowballs at James Madison. They ended up getting beat. App State beat James Madison at home. Big win. What do they have next week? They got to go to Georgia Southern next week. I love Georgia Southern. I had them this weekend. They covered. They play at home next week against App State. They win. They're bowl eligible. They're heading somewhere. I love Georgia Southern next weekend, having looked at the line, but I do like them a lot. Another Big 12 game. Arizona State, bam, smacks BYU 28-23. They still have a chance. BYU, not so much. You're in trouble, baby. You're in trouble. Lost 2 in a row. Here's a team that's going to the playoffs. There's not a team in the country that has had it easier than Penn State. There's not a team that's had it. Look at their schedule. They beat Minnesota 26-25 this weekend. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs. 100% because they don't have to worry about going to the Big Ten championship. They're out. They're going to end up with one loss going to the playoffs. There's a team I'm going to bet against in the playoffs. You have Ohio State is going to, if they beat Michigan Saturday, they're a 20 and a half point favorite. If they beat Michigan Saturday, they play Oregon in the Big Ten championship. If they lose, they're going anyways. Ohio State's getting in. They did what they needed to do. They beat Indiana. Definitely going. I said earlier, Texas won this weekend. They beat Kentucky 31-14. So Texas, if they beat Texas A&M Saturday, they will play Georgia in the SEC championship. Again, they already played them this year. Georgia beat them. Both those teams are going. They're definitely going. And the fact this committee still has Alabama at 3 losses, I mean, it shows you just how corrupt this whole playoff thing is, even with 12 teams, because the SEC controls it. They do. They control it. They're talking about Alabama. They don't deserve to get in this thing. Not with 3 losses. So you got Michigan right now, spanked Northwestern this weekend, 56. They play Ohio State Saturday. It's in Ohio State. I mean, I don't see how they're going to make this close. It's a rivalry game, but Ohio State, don't be surprised if they beat Michigan by 50. This coach will be running it up. He'll have guys in there just scoring with a minute to play. You saw what he did to Indiana. Okay, Boise State. Well, lost one game this year to Oregon. Could have beaten them. They had a tough game. Their score was 10-10 at the half. I'm at Yankee Stadium, and I couldn't believe it. I actually had Wyoming covering the points. They covered easily. Boise State won 17-13. They have one game left this weekend. I think who they play, Oregon State, is it? But they have one game left. If they win, they'll go to that championship. Boise not only looks to be in, but if they run the table, they're going to get a bye. That's the way that what the committee has right now. Texas A&M, all they had to do was win. They went to Auburn, lost. What was that? 3 overtimes. I ended up watching that game after the Army Notre Dame game over at Billy's. Tried to go to Stan's. It was too busy, too packed. Went to Billy's, big open space. A lot of young girls there. A lot of young girls. Look like their grandfathers. Just creepy old guy watching the Auburn game. I watched the whole thing. It was an amazing game. Auburn won. So, and then of course Alabama. Alabama. You go to Oklahoma and get thrashed like that. You don't deserve to be in this playoffs. You should be in a bowl game. Should be. Another team that had a chance to get in, Colorado. I love them this weekend because Deion's going to probably try to score a ton, run it up, say, yeah, we should still belong in the play. No, you should. You're out. You got spanked by Kansas. And the other team I love right now, they've been covering every week. And watch these guys in the bowl game because they have a great defense. But Duke beat Virginia Tech 31-28 this weekend. They've been covering. I like Duke. I like them as far as we got to look at them in the playoffs. We're going to see some great, forget about the playoffs. We're going to have some great bowl matchups where I think you can make some money. Great bowl matchups. So let's talk a little bit about futures right now before we go into the rivalry week games. This is rivalry week. Can't even talk. It's a big week. Some great games this weekend. It's Thanksgiving week. Start Tuesday. Got games, big games Friday. Ton of games Friday and Saturday. You throw that in with college basketball. This is my favorite time of year right now, besides March Madness, because that's when we go crazy. March Madness on the Degenerate Gamblers. Look, you like what you see, hit the like button. Follow Howie Dewey. Join the Degenerate Gamblers for a week. Just join it for a month. Month, $23.99. You don't like it, you leave. Join it for a month. Did not have the best week last week. Not going to lie. Lost a ton of crazy games by a point. Weird shit happened. It happens. It happens. But this week's going to be great. Already have a plus 360 parlay going into tonight with the Ravens, and we'll be hedging and probably putting a little money on the Chargers to hedge because it's a big parlay. So let's look at futures right now. You got Ohio State, the favorite to win the whole national championship at plus 260. Um, I don't love it because they still have some injuries. They have some injuries on that offensive line. There's teams that could beat Ohio State. Georgia's second at plus 350. I don't like them. I've had Georgia to win the national championship like the last 2 out of 3 years. We've hit it twice. I don't like them this year. Oregon plus 390. They have a legitimate shot. But I'm going to give you three teams I like for value right here. I think Texas has a better chance than anyone to win this national championship at plus 450 if Quinn Ewers stays healthy. If not, you got Manning coming in. Who knows? You saw what he did this year. He's probably just as good or better. Texas is plus 450. That's pretty good value. As far as the SEC, that's my favorite team to come out and win this thing. I'll give you another value play. Boise State to win the national championship is plus 13,000. How do you not throw $50 on that? $50. $50 and it brings back $6,500. $6,500 if Boise wins it. How do you not throw $50? What is it? Plus 30, yeah, plus 13,000 to win the national championship. Can't beat that. How does the committee have Alabama number 9 right now to win the national championship today at plus 4,000? I mean, no, Vegas has them at plus 4,000. Somebody thinks they're getting in the playoffs, guys. Somebody thinks they're getting in. And I'm going to give you my favorite play right now to win the national championship. You can grab Notre Dame. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I don't like Notre Dame, but I was at that Army game and they're loaded. You can grab them right now at plus 1,400 to win the national championship. How do you not? How do you not? I did it this morning. Plus 1,400 Notre Dame to win the national championship. That's a value. I'll throw $100 on that. Bring back 1,400. Come on. Got to do it. So that's what I like. I like Texas, is probably the favorite. Boise is a long shot, 13,000. Notre Dame, great value, plus 1,400. So that's what I got. Let's talk about this week. What do we have going on this week? All right, so we got games starting Tuesday. Let me get back here. Let's go, baby. College football. I want to get all these games. We got games Tuesday. We got Toledo. We got Maction Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. And then we don't have a game till Thursday. We got Toledo and Akron. It's a game. I'm going to say it's a game. Akron's plus 7.5 at home. I don't know. I love the MAC. We'll put something on it. And then we have games. Thanksgiving, you got Memphis Tulane. One game because it's NFL day. Football all day. We get right into it Friday. I said Oregon State plays Boise State. Boise's minus 19.5. That's a game you got to be careful because Boise's going to be resting guys. They're going to be resting people. They get a nice little lead. I don't see Ashton Jeanty playing the whole game, Mr. Heisman. Do you know that there was a prop on him Saturday? Ashton Jeanty, 3 touchdowns, and it was minus 110. When have you ever seen that in your life? 3 touchdowns, one guy minus 110? I couldn't believe that. Friday, we got Minnesota, Wisconsin. That should be a good game. Minnesota could have beat Penn State, should have. They got to go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a minus 1.5 point favorite. That's a good game to watch. Another game. I like this game already. Navy playing at East Carolina Friday at noon. East Carolina, minus 1.5. I'm sorry, plus 1.5. I tend to lean towards Navy there. I think Navy the following weekend, this Navy Army game is going to be one of the best games in decades for those two. The game last year was amazing. Remember that? Snapped one. The only reason I cover that game is because I think who was it? Army snapped one and took the safety and covered last year. I was by my buddy Mike's house watching that game. We ended up covering. We got Maction Friday again, Ball State, Ohio, Miami, Bowling Green. And then we got some good games. Here's the game I love. Friday at noon, we have Oklahoma State playing at Colorado. Colorado coming off that devastating loss to Kansas. They go to home. They're back in Boulder. Minus 16 and a half against Oklahoma State. Deion's, it's Friday, prime time game. He's going to try to score a lot of points. You might see some trickery, some tomfoolery that day. Colorado with a few plays. I think they score a lot. The over-under is already 60 and a half. Probably will go over. I like Colorado to win that meaningless game so we can say we should be in. No, you shouldn't. Then you got, let's get, it's all rivalry games. 3:30, you got Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 26 and a half. This is a perfect game for Lane Kiffin to win 70-24 and run it up and somehow think he can get in this thing. He can't. Ole Miss lost at the Swamp Saturday. They're out. Couple other big games. You got Nebraska at Iowa. Friday night, 7:30. Iowa's a 5.5 point favorite. Friday, 7:30. Big game here. Love this game. Georgia Tech at Georgia. Georgia's a minus 19.5 point favorite. No, I will get it up to 21.5. I will take Georgia Tech. Haynes King, in my opinion, is a good enough quarterback to keep things under control. Georgia Tech has a solid squad. And this is a big game. Could they beat Georgia? Yeah, sure they could. You've seen Georgia. They have bad games. This kid is due to throw a couple interceptions. He'll throw a pick six or two. But I like Tech getting that many points Friday night. I think they can keep this close. That'll be a fun game to watch. Let's just go over these rivalry games. You got NC State playing at North Carolina. Carolina coming off that beatdown this weekend. Playing NC State, minus 3.5 point favorites at home. That's a rivalry. That'll be a good game. Duke plays at Wake Forest. Wake Forest coming down to the second half beatdown at Miami. Duke going there. Wake Forest only plus 4.5. Tennessee Vanderbilt. This is a huge game because Tennessee right now has it made. They don't have to worry about playing in the SEC championship. If they win Friday. No, it's Saturday. If they win Saturday at noon, they're in. Tennessee's in. They don't have to go with this SEC championship. That's Georgia and whoever wins Texas A&M. But here's the problem. Tennessee's got to go to Vanderbilt. That's an in-state rivalry. They have to go to Nashville. Vanderbilt's a home dog, 11.5. When was the last time they were this much of a dog at home? What was it, Alabama? Yeah, Vandy could win this game. That game is a scary game for Tennessee. If Vandy upsets them, they're out. They have to win. Interstate rivalry in South Carolina. You got South Carolina Gamecocks going to Clemson. Clemson's minus 2.5 at home. Another one. Clemson has to win to stay alive. They still have a shot to get in the playoffs. South Carolina has a good squad. That's going to be a good game, man. That's going to be a good game. In-state rivalry. Illinois going to Northwestern. Northwestern's plus 7.5 at home. Be a good game. And of course, the big one. Michigan going to Ohio State. Ohio State is minus 20.5. When's the last time these two teams played and the spread was that big? I tend to like Ohio State. Just watching this coach. He's going to want to win this game by 50. I'm telling you, because you saw the recruits Michigan has coming in next year. Yeah, they got a little bit of NIL money in Michigan, guys. They can buy their way, and that's what they're doing right now. Michigan is down this year. They will be back. They have kids coming in. So I think Ohio State probably puts the beat down on Michigan. I'm all over Ohio State. I'm not going to lie. At 20.5. It may be 28-0 at the half. Florida State. Florida State's packed it in. They're playing all freshmen, sophomores. They're playing all young kids. They won this past weekend. They play at Florida State. Florida's minus 14.5. How do you not bet Florida? Rivalry. I mean, I will say this. I should stop because this is one of those games that Florida State could cover. 14 and a hook. Florida coming off that huge win. This could be a decent game. I mean, they have switched it up. Their whole personnel, they're playing all young kids. He sent anyone that's not going to be with the program next year on their way. This is a whole new Florida State team. They got to win last week. Who knows? And then we got the next game. The team that I like right now, plus 1400 win the national championship. Notre Dame goes to USC 3:30 on Saturday. The game's in LA, Anaheim. Um, USC is plus 6.5 at home. Notre Dame has to win this game. I I mean, after seeing them, how dominant they were, this is it. They win, they get a good seed in this playoffs. I like them to win. If they can stay injury free, this team's going to be very tough to beat going forward. Oregon's got an easy one, 7 o'clock, 7:30 Saturday night. They play Washington, excuse me, at home. 19.5 point favorite. Look for Oregon to get a lead and start pulling guys. Washington could backdoor cover on this. I could see it. Because Oregon's going to be resting guys for this Big Ten championship game and in playoffs. Brigham Young's at home. They're out of this thing. They play Houston. Did you see Houston Saturday? The kid got a penalty and then went in the sidelines, and basically the Houston team just beat his ass on national TV. Just gave their own player a beat down. Thought that was kind of funny. We got Kansas State, Iowa State. Iowa State minus 2.5 at home. Kansas goes to Baylor. Baylor minus 1.5. Some solid Big 12 games. TCU plays at Cincinnati, 2.5 point dog at home. Um, we get into some other games. Pittsburgh, Boston College. Boston College playing great, covering every week. Minus 3.5 at home. They'll probably win that game against Pitt. Pitt's got problems right now, not playing well. Of course, in state, Louisville goes to Kentucky. That'll be a good game. I mean, Kentucky hung this weekend with Texas for a while. They're home plus 3.5. Rutgers goes to Michigan State. Rutgers, they just blew a game this weekend in overtime. Ugh. We get into it. Maryland goes to Penn State. I would love to see them keep this thing close. Penn State's a big 24.5 point. Maryland's not very good. Good in basketball. Good hoop team this year, not in football. Minus 24.5 at home. You got Arizona State going to Arizona. That's a big rivalry. Arizona State, they're in this thing. They're fighting to stay alive. They have a chance. California goes to SMU. California got down huge this weekend, came back, squeaked in, won. We actually took them second half. They covered. They play SMU at home at SMU. It's in Dallas. SMU minus 13.5. I tend to like them. SMU's playing good ball right now. Of course, one of the biggest rivalries. You got Auburn going to Alabama. Huge, huge game. Iron Bowl. Alabama minus 11.5 at home. That could be a close game. Auburn's playing well right now. I think they're out. Of course, this committee will sneak them in with 3 losses. I'm telling you right now, if they win and they don't have to worry about playing the SEC championship, they could squeak in with 3 losses, which would be a travesty. They don't belong in the playoffs. Texas plays at Texas A&M. Well, that's a big in-state rivalry. Texas A&M plus 5.5, coming off a brutal loss to Auburn. I couldn't bet Texas A&M here. I think Texas takes care of business. The game I love. It's going to be my favorite game of the week. Appalachian State goes to Georgia Southern. They got to go to Statesboro. Statesboro's a 2.5 point favorite at home. Won that big, big game this past weekend, Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern's playing good ball right now. At home, Saturday, 6 o'clock, place will be packed. It will be packed. And Appalachian State coming off that huge win where their fans basically pelted James Madison right out of the gate with snowballs. If you saw that. These guys came out just getting drilled. It's college football, man, especially down south. But I think Georgia Southern rolls in this game. I really like them. You got Purdue playing Indiana. Indiana's a nice 28.5 point favorite. Yeah, you think they're a little pissed off after this past game with Ohio State? They probably win 45-0. Purdue is bad. They're bad. They're bad all around. Rivalry or what? They're probably going to get smacked. Oklahoma playing at LSU. Oklahoma just beat Alabama. Why are they 6.5 point dog at LSU? Because they got to play at night. Coming off that big win. I like LSU at home. Then we get into late night games, Air Force, San Diego State, New Mexico at Hawaii. Look, it's going to be a great game. rivalry week this weekend. If you like what you hear, man, just hit the like button. Follow Howie Dewey on YouTube. And start putting out some comedy videos too, man. That's what I do. Uh, it's gonna be a good weekend. We got college basketball all week, and that's what we do here. College basketball is our thing. Um, College basketball is really weird right now. You have so many teams they got some of these 23, 24-year-old kids in after 6 years and they're playing a final year. You got men against boys right now. But some of these, look what happened yesterday. Kennesaw beating Rutgers. Rutgers has great players. McDowell's All-Americans, but they're 18, man. It's tough when you're 18 playing against a 23-year-old kid. It's a beatdown. It's a beatdown. Look, love you guys. I appreciate you listening. Hit the like button, subscribe below. Howie Dewey on YouTube. Join us for a month. 24, 23.99, 24.99, something like that for 1 month. That's it. Most of these services are charging 200-300 bucks, and I have really good guys with me, great guys on the Discord. Uh, hey, we're gonna bank. I appreciate you listening. Thanks. Have a great week.